Welcome to Ready, Set, Action. Today you're joining Debra Horowitz and myself, Kristina Witmer. We're looking forward to talking to you today. In this episode, we're going to discuss 3 sales strategies to supercharge your business. So these are things we've seen, we've done, we've worked with clients on. So we're looking forward to sharing these with you. So not much else to say. Let's dive right in. Deb, do you want to share tip number 1? This, is a very helpful session I think we're about to dive into.
Yes. Yeah. Always interesting to me when, regardless of the topic that we choose, we've got a passion behind all of these topics, right? So for me, tip number 1 is really focusing on developing the art of consultative selling. I come across so many small business owners that are just hesitant to get out there and be that pushy salesperson. And actually, nobody wants that. No consumer wants that. And nobody on the other end of it likes that type of approach either. So you've got the permission structure to change that, get that out of your mind, and really focus on how you can be a consultative salesperson. And what I mean by that is consultative selling is all about really focusing and prioritizing the relationship building part of the process, right? And then focusing on the customer's needs as opposed to pushing your product and pushing your services, down their throat, whether it fits or not, right? And really the essence of it is to gain that understanding of what's going on in their world, right? What are their goals? What are their needs? That starts to build that relationship through an open dialogue. And then you can, as the information comes forth in those conversations, you can start to see how your solution or your product can meet those needs, solve those challenges that they're having, So there's 3 pieces of consultative selling to really practice. And the first one is active listening. There's so many times in conversations where we're half listening and we're trying to formulate what we're going to say next, in that conversation, rather than just going all in with focus on what that person is talking about. Yep. And that's where consultative selling really starts to shine, just giving it your full attention, getting rid of all of those distractions. Put your mobile phone in, a drawer somewhere, right? Just like focus in on that person and what they're saying, and really try to avoid interrupting them, right? There's a trick that I am still practicing to this day because it's hard, but when you've asked somebody a question and they're going through the answer, a lot of times you'll see that they're thinking about maybe how much more information to share or where to stop that dialogue, right? So if they come to that long pause, wait another 4 to 8 beats or 4 to 8 seconds, right, before you either respond with a clarifying question or, respond with maybe, some sort of sharing of a case study that is similar to what they're going through or anything like that. Just stop and give it time, because a lot of times they're still trying to figure out, well, would this be important for me to also share? Yeah. Right? If you give them that time, even though 4 to 8 seconds doesn't sound like much, it really can make the difference about what information you're going to garner from that conversation versus what might have been left out. So
that's a really good tip, because you're right. This takes a lot of practice, active listening. Like you have to practice it with friends and with just wherever you can. But that's a good point about taking that pause and sort of leaning in, letting it sit for a minute. I like that.
It's so hard. It is really so
Mm-hmm.
hard. And then there's the probing questions, right? So that really allows you to stand out from that pushy salesperson. And in those probing questions, you really start to become that trusted advisor that everybody really, that's the position that everybody wants to be in when you're a consultant, right? You are that trusted advisor. So how you position that is really, how do you formulate those questions ahead of time? So, do your research ahead of time. Find out as much as you can about the company that you're going to be talking with, about that individual that you're going to be talking with, so that you don't have to ask a lot of those real surface level questions when
Mm-hmm.
you're in that discovery call or whatever. You can really lean into the things that you can't uncover on their website or through, any PR that they've put out, or
Mm-hmm.
any kind of press that where they've quoted the chairman of the board on the direction of the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really, you're trying to understand, why is it now a good time for
Yeah.
them to make this change, right?
Yeah,
And
especially when all that stuff is probably much more positively spun when you see that. So it's good to get some of the more realistic challenges that they're not going to post anywhere. So that's fantastic.
exactly,
Yeah.
nobody wants to air their dirty
Mm-mm.
laundry,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you develop a atmosphere where they feel safe and comfortable sharing that information with you, then that's when it's so much easier to go into step 3, which is really tailoring that solution that you want to sell to them,
Mm-hmm.
and connecting those dots. So it's very, very easy for that person to understand and see, how is it going to benefit me?
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be the outcome? So just forget about features, right? We used to say in sales, it was all about features and benefits,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now it's all about benefits and outcome. So, you know, making sure that you're able to connect those dots is going to be so critical, and really does set you up as that trusted advisor.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was I think about the the gist of the consultative selling. Oh, there is a book that I highly recommend to anybody that hasn't read it already, and it's called Same Side Selling. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Same Side Selling, and it's by Ian Altman and Jack Quarles. That's Quarles. Now, this was published in 2019, so right before we all went on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about that consultative journey and really going along side by side with your business partner, your
Mm-hmm.
client, rather than even being across the table with them, being on the same side with them all along the way
Right.
and developing that long-term relationship. So I highly recommend that.
Good. Maybe you can pop that link in later when this goes live. That'd be
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So what did you have on your mind for tip number 2?
So when I was thinking about, sales success, I was thinking about social proof and, you know, referrals and things that lead to referrals, I should say. But like, how do you leverage social proof for sales? Like, there's ways that you can showcase customer testimonials, case studies, online reviews, and all of this is going to sort of build credibility and influence. And the cool thing about this is that this stuff happens throughout the entire sales cycle. So before you talk to someone, after a first call, after a second call, as they're looking at something to, an estimate to sign, like these are all things that will come to play. So it's really important to figure out what your plan is for this. So first I'll talk about a couple of the examples of social proof, and then we'll talk just about a simple process that might help you get some of this done a little easier. So obviously customer testimonials and case studies is one item. we've all seen them. Use cases are another example of how I've seen it used for how clients are using a technology or a service to benefit their business. But, there's a lot of ways to format this, right? Typically, you just want to show someone what their challenge was and as much as you can about what the outcome was after they started using the service. Now, a lot of times you might talk to people earlier in the stage and they may not have all of the numbers that you're looking for, but if you can still capture, if a CEO feels better because they have a plan, the website is launched, and all these things are in place, this is part of your story, and that is definitely also a testimony on a case study. So think about how you can showcase those, and I would encourage you to get them from everybody pretty much. And then as their stories grow, you might get more information to add to the case study, but I would encourage you to get it as, there's kind of this sweet spot of when a client is in that sort of either happiest stage, but they also have some results. Like for me with marketing, it takes a couple months to get into a groove, but then also sort of feel some of the benefits. But some things are much faster. So whatever that sweet spot is for you, I would encourage you to try to get that information from your clients and customers. So
Yeah.
the other thing is online reviews. So there's online reviews in a few places, and it really depends on what your business is, what's going to make the most sense. I personally believe that Google My Business is one of the most important because regardless of how you do business, people will often search you or see you, even if they're trying to call you back for some reason. They may Google search you, and what they're gonna see is that little snippet of profile and pictures and your star rating and reviews and things like that. So it could have a very strong impact along that sales cycle. Trust me, if they see nothing, like as a marketing agency, if they don't see anything there, that would be really, kind of alarming. Or if they see negative things, or or just something that doesn't look polished or branded or whatever it is, that could be a problem. So I encourage you to look at those things. Obviously there's Google My Business, there's Yelp. Clutch is one in my industry for media and advertising. Facebook reviews. There's also platforms for technology like G4. And I mean, there's all these things. So find out what's in your industry, and you can Google search this, right? So Google search blank industry businesses and see what directories pop up. Just see what you see and see what makes sense for you to pay attention to. So the other part is just looking at, how, social proof can build trust and credibility. So just pay a little bit of attention to what you're consistently putting out there, whether it's blogs, social content, other things. Just keep it on brand and on task. Try not to veer too far into other areas, because you want that trust and credibility to be very quick and very instant, about what you're doing. So one quick process I'll share for this, that we've used and clients that we work with typically will use because we end up doing the bulk of this. But start with a template, like something, whenever that sweet spot is for you, client has reached 3 months or 2 months or whatever, project is, just finished, website is just launched, whatever. First, have a templated email that asks them for permission to do a video interview for a case study. Templated email, it's there, right? I use it at a certain point, right? I don't want to rethink it every time. Once I send that out, they book a meeting and we do a call, and you figure out, are you going to do Zoom? Are you going to do another platform? Record your questions, have your questions prepared ahead of time. You reuse those every time, and then have the interview happen. Use a tool where you can segment people's, like if I ask you a question, Deb, then I can isolate your response. So that's like, have that as a place. So once that video interview is done, grab the transcript, and then you can write up a case study that you make into a PDF. You put it on your website. all that good stuff. You take that same transcript and you take a couple quotes from the client as testimonials. Of course, you get approval for all of these in their final stage, but the client's like, "Oh, I really appreciated working with them because blah blah blah." Grab that out as a quote, right? It is a quote, and then put it into your website or as a social post or whatever it might be. And then ultimately, you can also slice that video up into pieces, right? Where you have the client saying, "Oh, when I worked with so and so, this is what they had. It was such a great experience." So
Mhm.
that's what happens when you have something you want to do, like social proof for success, and then you have a process to make it as easy as possible. And as you grow, you might have someone who services your clients. Well, that becomes their responsibility at blank point. Maybe they don't do the interview, but maybe they set up and coordinate everything else. So once
Yeah.
you have that, you kind of get those pieces into a nice little package, I would say.
Yeah. The templates are so important, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because we're too busy to reinvent the wheel every single time,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to remember who was the last person I sent that email out to.
Mm-hmm.
And to
Mm-hmm.
just have it there and at the ready. I somebody said a trick recently about putting the templated emails as different signature lines
Okay.
in your
Oh,
Outlook.
let's see. Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is just sitting there as
Mm-hmm.
a named signature line.
Right.
And then you just bring it all in,
That's
customize
smart.
it with the name and that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So that makes it even easier to find
Mm-hmm.
it. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty smart. That's a really good, smart little, I guess, hack for if you're
Yeah,
not ready for like a CMS or some kind of tool that helps it.
yeah,
With tools like HubSpot, and then there's others, I'm sure, like you can have when you're in your email and it's all connected, you just grab templates that you have for all kinds of things. But
yeah.
I like that. That's a nice hack for when you just have a couple things you want to store. Yeah,
Right,
that's very nice. I like it.
right. And I love the timing for setting up that interview that you
Hmm.
mentioned,
Hmm.
because really understanding um, like what is that sweet spot where they still remember the pain that they had coming into this
Hmm.
process,
Yeah.
right? But they're
Hmm.
also experiencing the euphoria of working with you at that moment, and the
Right.
pain level is going
Hmm.
down, you know.
Hmm.
So that's really the
Yeah.
optimum time to get that,
Yeah. You'll
request for the
you'll
user.
figure that out as you have more
Yeah,
and more clients. You kind of start to see a pattern there. So
yeah,
absolutely.
for
So
sure.
so what have you got for tip number 3?
So, tip number 3, and we've talked about this in other sessions before, it's the power of the referral marketing, and it's just, it's so good because it works so well, you know, and it is so much uh, easier to set yourself up for success with referral marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a smoother experience overall for you and for the potential client. So it's really talking about leveraging the trust that the one client that's going to refer the potential client to you, leveraging that trust that they have, and that, just a stellar customer experience that they've had with you.
Mm-hmm.
It takes out that step of having to build that trust, because you're already walking in with a lot of street cred,
Mm-hmm.
just by having that referral alone. And so it's so much more cost effective because you didn't have to go out and spend any money on advertising to get that
Right.
referral from that
Mm-hmm.
customer, right? And it expands your reach too, because they may know people that you're not even targeting in what you're currently doing for your marketing, and you may never have run into that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so by just being able to empower that referral marketing to happen is just so good. So
Mm-hmm.
it's actually, there's like three traditional ways of setting up the referral marketing process. And it's all about rewards, recognition, that sort of thing. So the first way that you could look at setting up some sort of referral marketing program would be to look at two-sided rewards, where you're giving something to the person that's referring a new potential customer to you, but then also allowing them to say, hey, here's a discount,
Mm-hmm.
or here's access to a webinar that's only really available to the current clients, but we're going to let you come in the back door
Mm-hmm.
and see this, or whatever that marketing incentive is that you want to present, and letting them go ahead and be the one to send that out, whether it's through a personalized link, or maybe maybe there's a way for you to give them a special link where you can automatically know and track that that referral came in through them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just really help them make it as easy as possible for them to work it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second way would be like a tiered reward program, where as they start to refer people, the more that they refer, then the larger the referral bonus is for them, whether it's dollars, whether it's discounts, whether it's, hey, we're working on this new product and you can be the first one to actually have access to it when it before it launches, to
Mm-hmm.
really try it out. So it really just depends on what your solution is, or what your product is, and how you want to position that. But that's definitely another more traditional way of looking at how to develop the rewards program for referrals. And then the third one is personalized incentives, where maybe one person that you're talking to um, really likes the exclusive access piece, and then another one really likes the discount on the price because they're more concerned about their budget. So it's, you can really tailor it again to the specific needs of your customers,
Mm-hmm.
and have it working for you that way. I think when you're looking at setting it up, you really have to define, like, who are my ideal referral partners? And we've talked about this, where you want to try to find people that have similar types of audiences,
Mm-hmm.
that that there is going to be some fit already established, right? And then it's just looking at setting up mutual beneficial agreements, like in an affiliate marketing situation.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that with several tech organizations for talent acquisition tech, where I really feel very engaged with the value that they bring
Mm-hmm.
to their audience. And if I happen to recommend somebody to just check them out, if anything happens, then I'll get a referral bonus for
Mm-hmm.
that. So look at how do you set that up, and they do the same for me. So if
Mm-hmm.
they run into a customer that needs my services, and that ends up becoming a client of mine, I give that back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win-win situation for everybody, because there's so much noise out there in the market right now. If there's any way that you can kind of
Yeah.
elevate yourself above that noise, and showcase value, and go into it with a level of trust already established,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to really benefit the organization and help it grow a lot faster.
Yeah. I've heard a few people that I don't know if I more mentor types probably talk to me, and I've heard some people have a very good when you ask for, like, similar to the testimonial, there's a point where you ask for referrals from an existing client.
Yes.
And a lot of them, you explain that you don't spend a lot of money on marketing or advertising or things like that. Like, you're a small group. All of your money goes into servicing the clients and things like that. And that you build your business and you live based on referrals. And you would really appreciate 3 names of somebody that they might recommend you reach out to. So I think with the very earnest, open, honest kind of approach like that can be nice as well, for just saying, okay, I this is what I do. I ask clients this at some point, and I make it very clear, why. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. It doesn't have to be as formal as what I just went through. It can be as simple as that, just asking if they know of someone. And 9 times out of 10, they'll at least have one person that they know of, right? And so, it's definitely all about just building up, those conversations to convert more sales along the way. Yeah.
Very good. Well, good. I think we've got some solid things that people can work on this week. Set up your consultative selling. Get those questions. I like that you mentioned, the probing questions. Start working on social proof, like your testimonials, the reviews, the case studies, and then really explore referral marketing. How are you going to do it to make it work the best for you? So I think this is very good. Anything else you want to add?
It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, yes.
So everybody stay aware, stay diligent. The fight is getting a little bit easier. We're catching a lot of, those diagnoses earlier on and saving a lot of lives, but the work is not done. So that's why I'm wearing my pink.
Very nice. I'll get that in a couple weeks. I'll make sure I catch up to you on the pink, because I got a whole month to do it. So. Very good. I like that. Thank you for sharing and reminding us of that. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the tips and the knowledge. Give us any feedback if you're looking for other items for topics of conversation. Next time, Ready, Set, Action will be with Debra Horowitz and Kristina Witmer. You can follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify and other platforms. So we will see you next week.
Bye now.
Take care.